Everyone, this is Aaron at Power Popaholic, and I am with one of my favorite artists today, Pete Horvath of the Anderson Council, and they've got a new album. It's a great one. It's probably the best album I've heard from them in a long, long time. It's called The Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon. How are you today, Peter?
Doing all right, Aaron. What's happening?
So, tell me, was this album title your tarot reading before or after recording the album?
Way before, way before. It just, just came out.
It just came out. Maybe you want to tell me a little bit about how this part of the band, because the band has gone through changes a lot since we've started covering you, since you've been, a wonderful guest of mine at the Power Popaholic Fest in 2015, and you guys have done amazing work. But it really seems to gel a lot on this album as far as your sound. And you have a new band behind you, and I want to know if you could tell me a little bit of the story about how these people came together to help you out.
Okay. Well, let's see. I mean, there's me. I've been there since the beginning. Right. Nobody's kicked me out yet, which is nice. Simon, our bass player, has been around since, I believe, 2018.
Okay.
2017, somewhere in there. I lose track because he's quiet. And it pretty much in 2020, half the band left. And it was an interesting time to try to find new members since you couldn't go and see anybody.
Right, you were all on lockdown.
So there's that. And actually, Scott, our drummer, he actually had auditioned for the band like 10 years prior.
Wow.
And he came in second. So he was very patient, and he answered the ad again.
Wow.
And Mike, our guitar player, I went to high school with him.
Wow.
And
okay. Reunion.
We were in a band in high school, and actually he has a band as well, and I am in his band, and so he is in my band.
Wow.
It's just
what's his band's name?
The Melancholy Kings.
Melancholy Kings. Don't know if I've heard of them, but I'll look them up. I'll check them out. But let's talk about the Anderson Council's new album here. I was really impressed with this album. I mean, everything sort of. The interesting thing about it that I found, which was pretty cool, was you almost have like homonym like lyrics or song titles, like Tarot, Toronto, Times, Thames. That kind of thing. I mean, what was your writing process like? Was it any different than your last album?
Oh yeah, the last album, Worlds Collide, was pretty much written. Most of the album was written between me and our former drummer, Chris Ryan, in person. Because we were demoing stuff every week. We would get together in our lair and work on stuff. Or I was also writing with my friend Dawn Eden Goldstein, who lives in DC, and she would send me a snippet of a thing she was writing, and could I finish it off, or what did I think of this? So that was the last album, and this one was pretty much written. I wrote a couple songs with Dawn again, and my another former bandmate of mine, Michael Temkin. We had been talking about starting to write songs together again. And he lives in San Francisco. So we started by sending voice memos back and forth to each other. and eventually we graduated up to GarageBand.
So how are
Um,
you communicating? Just through emails and stuff, or
through
texting? And
texting constantly, emails, sharing the GarageBand project, et cetera, that sort of thing. We have a running document of lyrical snippets that we both add to randomly. Oh, I have this thing in my head. Let me type it out.
right,
We've been doing a lot of that, and one day one of us will sit down and start looking through the document, or start looking through the Dropbox folder we have of voice memos, and say, this is the one I'm gonna work on, and then scroll through the lyric document and see if anything
fits.
comes,
Yeah,
hits.
yeah.
um but yeah, so we did pretty much all that uh together, and then I would do a guitar, bass, drums demo, which was a new experience for me, because it's pretty much the first time I had used GarageBand ever in my
Okay,
life. And I decided that I wasn't going to get all crazy about it. I was just going to use the microphone on my iPhone
right.
and a set of headphones, no interface, no anything. And so I demoed basically the whole album that way,
Wow.
using just the microphone on my iPhone.
I
So
know people who have put out whole albums using their iPhone as their recording device, more or less, to give
sure.
it that feel on that way. But that's cool that you made full demos through that as well.
Yeah, it was all right. It was a fun time.
There are some songs that remind me of the old Anderson Council, like Sunday Afternoon. That's a song that
Hmm.
basically, it has a lot of those layered psychedelic type of it's dense. It's very
Sure.
dense guitars. The cool thing about this album was the first four songs have such strong melodies. They really stick. I mean, Taro Toronto, Alone with You, A Million Miles a Day, very catchy, all of them, and Time on Thames has so many cool key changes in it. I love the fact that the verse just sort of goes on its way and then just gives you a little change at the end of that verse.
Sure.
That key change. I love that thing, and the harmonies on Times on Thames I really thought was tight. Almost like the Hollies. It was just really nice. Um, I also love the song "Give It Time." That's like another single to me. It just
Thank you.
just gets you moving, and all the songs really, I would call them. They're not passive songs. They're all pretty much songs that you can sing along to, songs that you can recognize and hear again and again. Not something like, all right, I heard
Sure.
it once, I don't need to hear it. No, you want to hear it multiple times. It sort of lends itself to it. There are more songs on this album that made me want to hear it again and again than your previous albums. So it's a high,
Okay.
it's definitely in my top 10 list for this year, without a
Wow.
doubt.
All right.
And I love the Untrained Eyes. Almost sounds like you're channeling Mike Nesmith there, because you've got a little bit of the country guitar, but you've got the
Sure.
twang and you've got the catchiness, like the Monkees. And Buying a House almost sounds like a Lost Monkees tune as well. I mean, did you kept a lot of your inspiration, obviously from the Beatles, but added to it with some of these songs?
I suppose yes. The the songs just kind of come out the way they come out. Um, I mean, to me, like Buying a House, for instance,
Right,
was like kind of like our version of a song like Mr. Spaceman by the Birds,
right,
you
okay.
know, um, kind of hokey, kind of
Sounds like it
silly.
would be a TV theme almost.
Sure. we'll get Marty on that. He'll pitch it. Um, but you know, that sort of thing. Give It Time. Uh, when I first came up with it, that was a song that like just came out pretty much fully formed, except for the lyrics. One day I was texting back and forth with Michael, and
Right.
we were, talking about, oh, it's Saturday, let's write a song.
Right.
And the the chords and stuff just came right out with the melody. And I'm like, I know the song or the hook is going to be Give It Time. And
Right.
can you write the words, and the verse, or I don't know, see, that's the thing, that whole song Give It
Yeah.
Time is like, it doesn't have a verse and a chorus, it's like all chorus to
Right.
me,
Yeah. It just
you
goes,
know
but it flows and it works and it gets you. It keeps you listening through the whole thing.
yeah,
It's not like there's a lull anywhere.
right.
You know, which is pretty cool. And one of the other things, you're still working with the House of Vibes and Kurt and Rick over there. And how have things progressed with the recording? Um, have they been able to give you a lot of help when they were putting stuff
um
together with the mixing and all that stuff?
yeah, we've pretty much just worked with Kurt. um I mean, we go in, we've recorded every record pretty much the same way. We
Right,
have X amount of songs. We go in on a weekend. We like blast through all the rhythm tracks. Uh, okay, do we have keeper drums on this one? Do we have
right,
keeper bass on this one? Do we have keeper guitars mostly? Okay, let's move to the next song. As long as the drums are there
right.
and maybe my guitar is there, we can move on to the next bit.
Okay,
Um, and then by the end of the weekend, we've got 12 or 14 or 16 songs, ready to move on to more stuff. And then
very
the overdubbing and the brainstorming and all that craziness starts. Um,
got it.
and this record was actually um, the first the first album that we've recorded that wasn't recorded on a tape machine.
Wow. So it was all
Uh,
digital.
yeah, so
Wow.
that was a little weird, but also kind of cool.
Well, you
Um,
didn't lose anything as far as sound, as far as I could tell. You
right?
know,
Yeah, I think the whole thing sounds really nice,
yeah,
but I recorded all the vocals right here in this room I'm sitting in my
right.
bedroom.
Wow.
And most of, like lead and backing vocals I did here. Kurt and I did some more backing vocals at House of Vibes. I re-recorded one lead vocal at House of Vibes,
Okay.
Times on the Thames.
Okay.
And but honestly, you really can't. If you can tell the difference, then you've got a good ear.
Yeah, yeah,
The sound of them is very consistent over the
yeah,
whole record.
absolutely. And so, how are you going to support the album? Are you going to be playing live couple places, or that's
Yeah,
still
I
to be
mean,
determined?
we we've never stopped playing shows. Um, of course, because of that, the songs are probably better now than they were when we recorded them. And you're trying to like cram two or three guitar parts into one part,
Right.
etc.
Yeah. It's another story when you're playing live. You have to arrange differently a little bit.
Right, right.
Your songs. But I think the skeletons of everything that are on there are really good, and it shouldn't be a problem for you to interpret that to a live audience, and I think they'd appreciate that as well. Um, I just think it's a fabulous album, and I thank you for making it and putting it out there. And I also appreciate the time and you, answering some of these questions and explaining to the audience, some of the process, some of the sausage making of
Sure.
making an album. That's always interesting. And, we'll, look on, I guess we can check out your website. Anderson, do you have andersoncouncil.com, correct?
It's actually theandersoncouncil.org.
theandersoncouncil.org. All right, we'll
because
make
we're a
sure of that.
nonprofit.
So take a look at that. We'll check out when tour dates appear. Thank you so much, Peter Harbath. Appreciate all the work you do. Keep doing it.
That's the plan. The next record is already written.
Oh wow! All right, looking forward to that. This is an amazing record. Get your hands on it as quickly as you can, people. It's great.